Hello everyone, and welcome to Sunup. I'm Lyndall Stout. It's been another topsy-turvy year for Oklahoma's cotton crop. Today, Sunup's Dave Deacon takes us to Altus to visit with our Extension cotton specialist, Randy Boman.
How does the cotton crop look in southwest Oklahoma?
Well, Dave, I tell you what, we really have an extreme mixed bag of results this year. There's no doubt about it. I guess, you know, we can kind of talk a little bit about how the season started out. We've 2014 has been schizophrenic. I think that's the kindest way to put it. We ended up early on failing a large amount of our wheat acres because we had virtually no rainfall.
Right.
And that would be through about the 1st of April or maybe even the middle of May in this area. And then sometime around the middle of May, Memorial Day, things began to turn around a little bit, and we actually had really good rainfall for the last half of May, for the month of June, and really had very high rainfall for us for the month of July. I believe the numbers were about 7 inches or so in July. Unfortunately, we kind of hit a wall in August. In some areas, we're going to have a yield that is going to be rather questionable in terms of overall economics. The cost of harvesting is going to be significant versus what our returns would be. In other places where we might have had a little bit more rain in the month of July, certainly at least in some areas, we're going to have some crops that we're going to be pretty proud of, at least in the Altus area. And I suspect that we're going to actually harvest some fields well over a bale per acre, which, you know, that's the highest yields that we've had here in this area since 2010. If we look at the overall big picture, moving out away from, say, Jackson County and the irrigation district, and we look at the big picture of the state, we're going to have 4 bale production in a lot of areas this year. Typically, in what we've begun to see over the last few years is up in the Carnegie, Hydro, Fort Cobb area, right up in you know, the old historic peanut country. Our acres of cotton have increased there over the last few years, I think, and certainly this year it's up quite a bit. We had a large number of growers up in that area that made 4 bale plus production in 2013, and a lot of those guys expanded their acres in 2014. But you know, we're going to see low yields from, I don't know, 150 to 200 pounds perhaps up to 4 bales per acre in the state, and quality is going to range, it's going to run the gamut too, because we're going to see some of these lower yielding fields that because of the moisture stress that they went through in the month of August, we're going to see fiber quality issues with those, and associated with those fiber quality issues is going to be a lower loan value and ultimately what they get out of that cotton in the market. So and again, some of the other cotton that's irrigated, we're going to see, you know, top shelf cotton quality, not just yield, but also fiber quality that can pretty much compete with a lot of the growths around the globe. So again, it's a real mixed bag.
Physiologically speaking, what makes August so important to the cotton plant?
Well, the August time frame coincides with the maximum use of water of the cotton plant. And, you know, typically we can get along with about 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/1500ths of an inch per day fairly early, but once we get into the squaring phase and certainly well on into blooming and start to establish bolls, which again, a lot of that is going on in August, we see our crop evapotranspiration needs increase exponentially. And there's a lot of times when, you know, I think our 10-year average for the month of August would be about 0.35 inches per day, you know, or in that neighborhood. And so what we were experiencing this year on some days in August was again ET rates or evapotranspiration rates of close to 0.5 inches. And so if we can't you know, we really didn't have hardly any subsoil moisture coming into this year. If we don't have good subsoil moisture to start out with, we have a hard time making it on our rainfall, on our normal rainfall. We had a really a prime example of a crop supposedly living from paycheck to paycheck with respect to rainfall this year. We did see that, and so if we could have gotten another paycheck in August of a couple of 3 inches, we would have certainly wouldn't have failed hardly any of this cotton, number one, and number two, we would have had some really respectable yields.
Do you feel comfortable about the 2015 crop?
I really do, and you know, there's if we plot a lot of the environmental data, each year has trended to be a little bit better. And the good news is that in 2014, the crop evapotranspiration daily rates and accumulated total kind of lines up with the long-term average. Our cotton heat unit accumulation for the season has become more normal, which is really good. And you know, I guess that the thing that's really kind of holding over our heads, there's really two issues. One of them is we have a 48-inch rainfall deficit since January of 2011, right here. If we were to take and sum our normal rainfall from say 1971 through 2000 for the Altus area, and plot that out, and then plot out the actual rainfall that we have and compare those, I believe that we're sitting at about 114 of normal rainfall that we should have had since January of 2011. And so as we look at where we're at today, we were about 48 inches below that. That deficit is huge, and that's one of the reasons why we don't see, you know, water in the lake coming into the watershed. We haven't had, even though we've had 60-something inches of rain during this period of time, we have had actually minimal runoff from that, and a large number, dozens upon dozens of rainfall events that come in and maybe, you know, provide us with a tenth today or maybe 2/10 later, and but we might get, you know, 20 or 30 of those during the winter months, or maybe even 40, and it just doesn't give us what we need. We're not getting a significant amount of moisture into the soil. The other issue that we have is as we're moving into 15 is the cotton market and the price situation. And basically what we're looking at now is cotton that's probably, you know, priced in the low 60s, which that's down substantially, certainly since the highs that we observed in 2011. So the market situation in 15 is going to become very important as to the mood that our growers are going to be in, as to, you know, whether or not they want to, you know, to try to raise a crop with whatever market that we're seeing.
Okay, Randy Boman, thank you much.
If you'd like to learn more about growing cotton and other crops in the southwest part of our state, you'll get the chance this winter. The Red River Crops Conference is January 27th and 28th in Childress, Texas, featuring specialists from both the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service and Texas AgriLife Extension. You'll hear about the latest on cotton, canola, wheat, and much more. For information, visit our website, sunup.okstate.edu.